Thank you.
No, that's quite all right. As a matter of fact, our next speaker is having a bit of difficulty. Dr. Mao is currently stranded at an airport with a delayed flight, but has very kindly sent a recording of his talk, and I think is attempting to join on his phone to answer questions at the end. So I think we'll perhaps. Okay, so I see that's ready. So we'll begin, I think, with Leping Mao's video talk, and hopefully then Dr. Mao can join us later on. Okay, go ahead.
Leping Mao from the University of Toronto. Sorry that I have to make this video recording our presentation as I got delayed at the airport. My flight was delayed, so I'm not sure by the time the conference I will be able to land in Toronto. I'm recording from the New York airport, so you may hear some background noises while they are announcing the boarding information. I try to make things clear. So thanks to Seoul National University, our colleagues for holding this online international conference. My topic today is on liberal arts education in East Asian context, insights from Confucian values and traditions. So first, starting with the background context, this research is based on my dissertation project. As we noticed that in the current in higher education, currently there is a pressing need for educating students as socially responsible citizens and preparing them for the social challenges and uncertainties in the 21st century. That has a hot debate currently in higher education research among scholars and administrators. So that brought up the liberal arts education to the upfront. Liberal arts education with goals in cultivating critical thinking, innovation, lifelong learning, social responsibility. This aspect aligning with the social needs in the 21st century. So in previous research, we can find that there is a global resurgence of liberal arts education. There are many institutions that are building their liberal arts programs. Especially, we can notice their strong presence in Asian societies. Research also found that liberal arts education in non-Western societies, they are decoupling from the American model by integrating the local aspect and factors. Also, in Chinese context, we can find that liberal arts education programs, some they are carrying on the traditions from former Christian universities in China, which adopted the American liberal arts model. But currently, the debate on liberal arts education is that in Asia must forge its own path on liberal arts. So based on this social background and previous research, I designed my research in looking at how does liberal arts education in 3 universities in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan contribute to cultivating whole persons with abilities for their societies. The 3 case institutions I selected are Yonsei College at Peking University in mainland China, Lingnan University in Hong Kong, and Zhonghai University in Taiwan. So this research is underpinned by the theoretical framework of capabilities approach. Capabilities approach, it can be understood as a broader concept of well-being and human flourishing. It's about what are people actually able to do and to be, and to explore the substantial freedoms with a set of interrelated opportunities to choose and to act. So based on the theoretical framework, I designed this conceptual framework that guided the analysis of this research. So liberal arts education in the three East Asian contexts, they are influenced by the social tradition, Confucian tradition, some with British influence, like in Hong Kong, and some influence about American liberal arts tradition, like in Taiwan. They all follow the means of training, like general education curriculum, their extracurricular activities, mentorship program, and other residential experiences that are designed for developing student capabilities for the purpose of training broad knowledge, developing our mind, and cultivating social responsibilities. Finally, how these contribute to the ultimate goal of whole person development. So for methodology and research design, this is a mixed methods design, which follows three stages, collecting data in three sources, like document analysis, interview, and online survey. The first case is Lingnan University in Hong Kong. Lingnan was founded in 1967 by Lingnan alumni. As I introduced, there are former Christian universities in mainland China, which were founded or established by the North American missionaries. They existed before the 1950s education reorganization. So, but after 1950s, education in mainland China have reformed and reoriented to follow the Soviet Union model in higher education, following the professional training. So these Christian universities were closed and divided or merged with other public universities. So Lingnan University was founded by Lingnan alumni, and now it has become one of the 8 public universities in Hong Kong. It carries the Lingnan spirit from a former Lingnan University in Guangzhou, carries on some values, and especially the spiritual service from former Christian University, Lingnan University. And we can find in the table that it follows the global model of liberal arts education with broad curriculum, small class teaching, mentorship, residential campus, etc. The second case is Donghai University in Taiwan. Donghai University was founded in 1955 by the support of United Board for Christian Higher Education in Asia. And this organization is the former founding agency for the 13 former Christian universities in mainland China before they were closed. But after 1950s, this United Board turned to Taiwan to establish Donghai University, specifically to encourage and to promote the liberal arts education in Asia. So in the picture, you can see is a loose temple on campus, designed by the architectural master, Yumin Pei. Donghai's liberal arts education model, it follows the 4 main points proposed by its founder, William Finn. They are small class teaching, general education, residential learning, and labor program. But Donghai gradually developed as with comprehensive university. In 2008, there is a Boya College, which is wanted to revive its liberal arts tradition. So in the current liberal arts models, it integrated 6 arts from the Confucian tradition, and also the family system mentorship, which reflects the tradition of mentorship. The third case is Yonsei College at Peking University. Peking University it inherited the campus of Yanjing University, which was one of the former Christian universities. So at Peking University after 2000, to the 21st century, they also built Yonsei College, which is the liberal arts college situated within the university, and we can find it follows the liberal arts models, aiming at cultivating students' capabilities development. So from the research findings, from the quantitative data, I find that their liberal arts model, the different aspects, are positively contributing to the capabilities development. In the liberal arts education in Chinese context, from the findings, specifically we mentioned that it is called 博雅教育 in Chinese, which means broadness and elegance education, which specifically refer to the character formation. And it is ideal of higher education with person making in its core value, which is rooted in Confucianism. So this is different from the Western liberal arts education, which rooted in the Western democracy and individualism, but in the understanding of person making. So from the administrators and the faculty members, they specifically mentioned their liberal arts education. The goal is to make a person. And this also moved away from the elite status that liberal arts education in the current society is offered to the majority of students. So that reflects the egalitarian values in Confucian educational thoughts. So as one faculty member mentioned that liberal arts education is for person development. Although not everybody will be an elite, but everyone of us must be a well-rounded person. Another findings is that the liberal arts education in the three social contexts that reflect their tradition, and we can find that the service spirit in liberal arts education can trace back its origin to Christian tradition. The 6 R's, the family system, rooted in the Confucian value and the concept of a person. Also, the egalitarianism reflects the educational equity, equality in the society, that everybody has access to education and is expected to be developed as a well-rounded person or system for the society. So how does liberal arts education work? From the education, from my research, the faculty member administrator, this especially mentioned that it's for whole person cultivation and it's a long-term development. So they mentioned a Chinese term by 树人, which means cultivating a person in 100 years. So it's rooted in the Confucianism that education is a long-term project, and the outcome of education can only be reflected after a few decades when the people that are educated can move into society and making contribution in their society. So this integration model are contributing to various aspects of development in their capabilities. So also this liberal arts model, which offers students the freedom or flexibility in exploring their opportunities. For example, they could select their own elective courses and explore their interest before they decide to make a decision on their major in the 3rd year. So this kind of freedom and exploration or their extracurricular activities, they develop their capabilities to deal with unexpected challenges and uncertainties. Another point is that a person-making concept in Confucian education that aligns with the core value of capability approach that values each person as an end, not regarding the person as a kind of medium that for the social human capital cultivation. So by comparing the three contexts, there is a common aspect in all the three institutions in their liberal arts mentioned that the goal of liberal arts education is to cultivate students as a citizen, as a whole person. The purpose is not for them to earn money, although that can be an aspect of their professional development or professional career, but the purpose should be broader, contributing to society as an upright person with a serving spirit. But there are also differences among the three social contexts, like in mainland China. They mentioned the capability and skills for building the socialist society. In Hong Kong, critical thinking is important for the social issues and concept. Their skills are also needed to secure a professional career. In Taiwan, there is an emphasis on both the skills and the care for the larger global community as an ordinary citizen. So this is the chart comparing the three social contexts, and we can find they have their own features which are related to their social context, but in the common area, we can find their confusion value rooted in the education and also the legacy from former Christian universities, which are more obvious in Taiwan and Hong Kong society. So for future direction, it would be interesting to look at liberal arts education in different East Asian society. So I proposed a future research project on looking at the 26 Asian universities, which are members of our Alliance of Asian Liberal Arts Universities. So through the lens of decolonization and try to understand how the understanding and implementation of liberal arts education in various Asian universities, whether they are resisting or following the new liberal trend of global higher education development, and to what extent their liberal arts models reflect the cultural tradition and local factors. So here I will conclude my presentation. I'm sorry I cannot pick questions right now, but if I, by the time of conference, if I land in Toronto, I will join by phone and try to pick up questions. Thank you, everybody. And I would welcome, and if you have any questions, you may reach out to my email, and I would be happy to discuss on this topic. Thank you very much. I'm still sorry for the inconvenience.
Thank you, Dr. Mo, for giving a
hello, everybody.
Very thought-provoking paper. Oh, yeah, in what we may call some difficult circumstances for sure. But I see you are with us in the Zoom call now. So if there are any questions, we have a good amount of time for Q&A.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, our colleagues at the center. And I'm so sorry for that, my trouble that I got stuck at the airport. And now I'm just on a shuttle bus leaving the airport going to a hotel. So yeah, thanks for playing my video. And if anybody got questions, I'm happy to answer questions. I just joined by phone. Hope the signal is good enough for you to hear me.
Yeah, you're coming through well. Phoebe, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Leping, for your presentation. I just have a quick question. You know, I was really interested in the differences, you know, between all the three locations that you researched. And in your results, it said that Taiwan had a very how can I say, very American way of liberal arts education. So I just wondered if you could elaborate why that is. And in Hong Kong, you know, you would imagine that it would be very British or something, but that wasn't part of the findings. So I just wondered if you could elaborate that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Phoebe. You have a very interesting question, and that is a question that I was on my mind when I was doing the analysis and writing up. So for the Taiwan, Hong Kong, mainland China, I'm comparing the three contexts and how the cultural tradition, the social context influence their liberal arts education. So for the Taiwan part, the case is Donghai University. Donghai is specifically established by the United Board, which was the founding agency behind the former 13 Christian universities in China. So I think behind that was the American influence on the liberal arts education. And when Donghai University was founded, so they specifically learned from a few American liberal arts colleges. But I think during the development, when it developed from a small liberal arts college to a comprehensive university, so that adapted into a Taiwan society that offers the education to students to the a big population, and then that was and that tends to like connect with the Confucian tradition, the egalitarian values in the education. The liberal arts is not elite education, but to everybody and to be a whole person. And for Hong Kong society, as Hong Kong as a British colony for many years, in Lingnan, it's not very clear that there's a British influence, but in Hong Kong, it's very it's clear that the former Christian universities value of service spirit, and that they are advocating and implementing into their training. And this is it's a feature that is very interesting. That in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, it is still clear to see the Christian tradition in the institutions carried on to the current society. But in mainland China, it's a different social ideology. So they are advocating, they are promoting like the socialist view. The religious part is not being clear, and I think mainly in the public universities, they don't mention the religious or the influence from the former Christian universities. I hope I answer your question. I got distracted by just getting off the bus.
Thanks. Well, I think I'll abuse the privilege of the moderator and ask a question myself as well. Yeah, I think there are some really interesting parallels here with some of my own work. Christian missionaries also had a huge impact on understandings of international law in East Asia as well, for a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned in education. But yeah, I was really interested in this concept that you identify here of educating the whole person, because I mean, I think you're quite right to sort of draw out that this is sort of a difference from the American liberal arts model, but it strikes me as like almost something which is quite closely aligned to a sort of traditional British model of education, and the difference being that it's very explicitly non-elitist in China, whereas it's obviously associated with elite education in Britain. Would that be sort of fair to say that that's a sort of another difference to be identified there?
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think there's alignment between the British humanism that is cultivating the people's humanitarian spirit, or and the whole person in the Confucian side. I think there's clearly the alignment. And also, for me, the particularly the interesting part is that they are seeing the whole person. That is a Chinese word that a person. When you mention a person, it's not a biological person. It's not a individual with the individual freedom or advocating for the democracy. But when you mention a person, that it means the person's upright person with social responsibility, a virtuous person. When they just mention the person making, everybody can understand that in the Chinese society. I think in the East Asian society, with the word of the person, that's kind of concept that is very different from the Western concept when you see a person. But also, as you mentioned, in the British tradition, there's a humanism, so that is also aligning with the Confucian side of the person. Although this is, I think there's difference, but there's a parallel. That's very interesting. Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you. We maybe have time for one more quick question. Okay, but otherwise, I think